Last month, Warhammer got even more expensive. Or did it? What if I said you could get Warhammer Miniatures and Armies for much cheaper than Games Workshop prices? Hey Vsauce, Icy Pie here. I'll be going through each of the best ways to save money and find miniatures for cheaper. For each method, I will be ranking them on a tier list based on 3 key factors: savings, effort, and risk. Some of these methods can save you hundreds, even thousands. And no, that's not clickbait. These methods have worked for me dozens of times, but we'll get into that. First, we need a baseline, Games Workshop's website. This might sound kind of wild to those of you really new to the hobby, but buying directly from Games Workshop's website is one of the worst ways for you to spend your money efficiently. They have the highest prices for their models. Hell, even going on Amazon, you can find at least a 5% discount sometimes, and you can get free shipping with Amazon Prime, so there really isn't much of a point to buying them through the main website. For savings, we're going to put none, effort low, and risk very low. Their website's going to be ranked the lowest at C tier. Third-party retailers. Third-party retailers would be your local hobby shops and game stores that sell Warhammer models that aren't official Games Workshop stores. Games Workshop makes a deal with these stores where they are allowed to sell Warhammer models at a cheaper price, at around a 5 to 20% discount depending on location. They do this to allow Warhammer communities to develop locally and have a lower barrier of entry for new hobbyists than just buying models directly from the Games Workshop's main website. The only negative to this is your local hobby shop won't have nearly the amount of options to choose from compared to the main GW website. Technically, GW also has a few models on their main website that are online only, so make sure to be on the lookout for that in the bottom right corner of the model. Other methods on this list have an easier time getting those models, but we'll get into that soon. Now, your local hobby shop might not have exactly what you're looking for at a discount, but that doesn't mean the hundreds of other stores across your country won't either. The Warhammer 40k subreddit has a great list of retailers that sell at a discount for the following countries. There'll be a link to that in the description of this video. It's a great resource, trust me, I've used it dozens of times myself. Some stores will have used models or armies that they sell on the side, and you can find some absolutely amazing deals this way. But for me personally, I've never had so much luck on this front. This is more luck in your spawn location than anything else. For savings, we're going to put low, effort low, and risk very low. Third-party retailers are going to sit right in B tier. Social media. You can find some insane deals on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, and subreddits like r/miniswap. We are talking like 20 to 50% discount prices on average. For example, I got these great Necron models at a huge discount from r/miniswap on Reddit. The problem with this method is how inconsistent it is. Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist are highly dependent on your location. Sometimes you'll have to drive an hour or two away from home to meet with the seller as well. You might get lucky and spot a great deal, or your search will be filled with resellers and people wanting $3,000 for their pro-painted army when 99% of pro-painted armies look like this. Personally, I would recommend Miniswap out of the 3. Miniswap is not location dependent, generally has better or more realistic deals, and this last one is big, much less scammers. Facebook is filled with scammers. Do not trust any online listings only. This applies to everything, not just miniatures on Facebook. If you do use this method, just be prepared to be constantly checking each of these sites every day to see if you're the first one to spot a good deal, because other people are looking as well. So it can be both a time commitment and you are competing with other people looking for a great deal. For savings, I'm going to put medium, effort medium, and risk is high. I would have put this in A tier because you can get some really amazing deals on these sites, but with the very real threat of getting scammed or wasting your time, it's going to bring this down to B tier, right behind third-party retailers. Also, if you've been enjoying the video so far, consider subscribing. Thanks. Recasters. If you don't know, recasters are people that make their own molds by copying Games Workshop's models and then reselling them at a much lower price. GW uses polystyrene plastic while recasters use some form of resin. Obviously, this is illegal to sell because they are copying GW's products, but the people that recast are usually in countries that Games Workshop can't really go after or do anything about, so their operations continue regardless. The biggest pro to this method is cost. They can sell recasts fairly cheap, and since they are technically brand new models, you don't have to worry about removing old paint from buying models secondhand. Now, hold on for a second, there are major downsides to this method. First off, you have to do your own research. Because it's illegal, a lot of recasters stay hidden or hide among hidden forums and Discord servers. Even if you have leads, it's not that simple to find them. These groups use acronyms and nicknames to talk about recasters to not reveal their identities, and you aren't usually allowed to ask for more information. You kind of have to piece it together on your own. Each different recaster is essentially its own company, so the quality of those miniatures is all over the place. I know there are some really good ones, but there are bad ones as well. Also keep in mind that recasters are mainly resin based, meaning the things they copy will be in resin even if the models they copied weren't. Resin is more difficult to work with and is a potential hazard to your health when you sand it, so just be aware of that. For savings, I'm going to put it as medium to high, effort is high, and risk is medium. Recasters are going to end up right in B tier behind social media. 3D printing. In this day and age, you can print your own models either using an FDM or resin printer. 3D printing is kind of a unique one on this list for a few different reasons. So to reiterate, this list is about how to save money on Warhammer miniatures, and technically these aren't Warhammer miniatures. They're either ones made similar but legally distinct, or really close knockoffs that were made by a 3D modeler to be as close to copies to the originals. If you're looking for the latter, those are getting harder and harder to find as GW is constantly removing any 3D files online that they consider copies of their own. So what do people do in response? Well, they come together in groups to share their save files or create databases on those deleted files. You're going to have to devote a good amount of time yourself to find the exact model you're looking for. 3D printers range in price, but the good ones with high quality prints are not cheap and cost about the same as a used Warhammer army. On top of that, 3D printing is considered its own hobby, at least in the amount of work you need to put in to get good models. You have to learn what programs to use, how to use a slicer, what type of resin or filament to use, the temperature of the resin, blah blah blah. It's a bit of a headache. This isn't to discourage you or anything though, you can learn it, but we are comparing this method to just buying models from game stores. Compared to that, yeah, this is a big time sink. Print failures are possible as well. The more you 3D print, the better you'll get at it, but you need to be ready to have quite a few failures and being unsure why they're failing in the first place. If you get past all that, this single method can save you thousands upon thousands of dollars. You can print entire armies for pennies, which is why 3D printing is on the rise. There are some big negatives to 3D printing that we're going to have to consider. For either FDM or resin prints, you're going to need a dedicated space big enough to house it. Preferably, you want it in an area where your family is not going to be, pets, your kids. So either a garage, a shed, or just a space that you have dedicated to it. Massive safety precautions should be taken when dealing with liquid resin, which you will be constantly near if you 3D print. This topic really deserves its own dedicated video, which I'll get to eventually, but to summarize, 3D printing can be a health risk if you don't do your research, and a lot of people, even on YouTube, don't take all the precautions they should be doing. 3D printing is a great option, but it's a high bar of entry with a lot of requirements that many don't have time for. For savings, I'm going to put it between medium to extremely high. Effort, extremely high, and risk, low to medium. I want to put 3D printing in S tier. For me and a lot of people, it saves so much money, maybe the most on this entire list. But the fact of the matter is, for the majority of hobbyists, they don't have the space, they live in an apartment, have kids that they don't want near resin, don't have time to learn it. There's just too many barriers for it to be S tier. I'm gonna have to put this in A tier, unfortunately, but keep in mind though, 3D printing is getting easier to use every single year, so these negatives are getting smaller. eBay. eBay has been consistently my most successful method of getting cheap Warhammer models and armies. Now, I'm sure some of you are already disagreeing with me on this, but hear me out, please, just for a second, alright? I've got proof that this is good. First, we have a Drukhari army that I bought off of eBay. The Drukhari army came to a staggering 70% off discount from retail price that I was able to snag. And this over 5,000 point Eldar army that would have cost me $2,300, I only paid $524, which is a 78% discount on Games Workshop prices, the best I've ever done. Now, I'm not trying to boast or flex here. I'm showing these numbers so you can see that this is the kind of savings that you can get as well if you know how to look on eBay. I also like that eBay has an auction system, so you have about a week or two to ponder buying the models instead of having to make your decision immediately, like on social media platforms, because there you have to make your decision before everyone else jumps on it. Just like with all the other methods, eBay has its own negatives. There are plenty of bad deals, pro-painted armies, and the occasional scam, but eBay, in my experience at least, has been significantly better about refunds and dealing with scammers compared to Facebook. eBay has a money-back guarantee that I've had to use twice in all my years on eBay, and both times I got my money back when the seller didn't send the item. I'm also going to share some quick tips for you so you have a better chance of getting a good deal on eBay. 1. If you want the best discounts, go for entire army listings. People selling their whole army usually want to get rid of it quickly, even at a massive discount. If you look on eBay long enough, you will notice that armies sold piecemeal are sold at a much higher price per unit, some even matching GW prices or going over it. 2. Set your search to auctions. It's where I've found most of the best deals. 3. Use eBay's automatic bidding option. If you don't know what that is, when you place a bid, you can choose an option to put in a maximum bid. When the auction's about to close, it will automatically place a bid for you, as long as the price doesn't exceed your maximum bid you placed. Doing this prevents you from overspending since you just put in the amount you're comfortable with, and makes it so you don't have to constantly check eBay when the auction's about to close. It makes it more passive than using Facebook or Craigslist. And 4. Look for listings with terrible photos. Presentation means everything, and if the seller doesn't take great photos, people's eyes just glance over it and ignore it. The Drukhari army was one of the best deals I've seen at the time, and no one else was going for it because you couldn't tell what the photos were showing. I scanned through all the photos and realized this was an amazing deal and won the auction with no competition. So be on the lookout for those. You'll be surprised at what you'll find. For savings, I'm going to put it between medium to high. Effort is medium and risk is low. For me, eBay is a solid S tier. Now, don't take this tier list as absolute gospel. I can see arguments to make 3D printing, say, being S tier or moving eBay down, etc. But to me, when I was creating this list, my mind was on what helps the majority of hobbyists. Methods like eBay or third-party retailers are the most popular because they have a low barrier to entry, and that helped the ratings a bit. Also, keep in mind, this is the opinion of a dude with 100 subscribers, so take it with a grain of salt. Any of these methods, in my opinion, will save you money, and I just wanted to go over the pros and cons of each. Hopefully this helped you out. If you liked the video, subscribe for more of my stupid opinions. That's all for now. Goodbye.
Brother, I am pinned here!